Good afternoon. Welcome to 30 Frames a Second. I'm your host, Greg Lassiter. We have a great show for you today, but we got some breaking news that Craig Mack, the rapper, died yesterday of a heart attack. And Rex Tillerson, the State Department, was fired today on Twitter by the president. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Don't touch that dial.
I see your faces, and that's why I'm here. And I appreciate what Sister Nzinga said, that we are tired and we are sick and tired of being tired, but we cannot stop because they don't stop. And that's why you're here. And one of the things I wanted to make clear to you, in case you didn't get it when Sister Ann Lamb said it, in case you didn't get it when Sister Nzinga said it, in case you didn't get it when Brother Ori said it, when you show up against all odds again and again and again and make your demands, you are wearing them down. Because by now, they thought sure they would have given you the message and you would have understood. Again, what everybody here is telling you, they want no resistance. You are facing capitalism. You are facing colonialism. You are facing imperialism. And what you don't understand is as these creatures moved across the earth, they exterminated 90% of the populations. And if you don't believe me, well, what did Chris Rock tell you? When was the last time you saw an Indian? Okay, that's what you are facing. They kill their own mothers. They kill their own children. What makes you think you can be nonviolent resistance and petition for your rights? That's not how the world got started. That's not how this country got started. So what we are saying to you is, you are supporting a political prisoner. We have the right to resist. I can't wait to hear Sister Ramona, because she always talks about self-determination and self-defense and self-preservation. Every living thing on this earth has the right to self-preservation. And the reason you are here is because your concept of self does not include slavery of any kind. You will not tolerate my enslavement. You would not tolerate Sister Lynn's enslavement. And so we are back again to pound on the door of justice and insist that they set them free. Because none of us is free until all of us are free. And when we speak like this, we are talking about love. That's why I come here, because you know we are in a shithole nation that is going down, and you know how these people act when they are losing, okay? And don't be fooled by this NRA bullshit. You've got to need, and you have the right to that Second Amendment. I'm not going down like some dog in a street. I just am not going to be their victim, and you shouldn't be their victim either. I will hide you. I will defend you. And that's what those brothers in the prison said. That's why they're there. And when you look at Jalil, when you listen to Mamiya, you understand their culture better than they do. They talk about Greek culture, yeah. We all know, where's Nzinga? We all know they got it from the Africans. We know they got the books of Alexandria from the Alexandria Library. We know that. This whole technology they have is based on the math they got from the Africans. We know that. However, what I am talking about is that philosopher called Plato. And Plato has a writing called Crito, C-R-I-T-O. And in it, Socrates says, I will not give up my principles. And his colleagues and his students, and they begged him, give it up. Just say you're sorry. Apologize to the state. And what was Socrates apologizing for? Every day he would go to the Roman Senate, and as the senators came out, he would say, what kind of legislation did you pass today? Did you stop the corruption of the state today? What kind of laws have you perpetrated on the republic today? And they could not stand the fact that he demanded integrity, that he demanded morality, that he demanded freedom and liberation. And that is what our political prisoners represent. And you can't take just one. You can't take Jalil without taking Jan. You can't take the sister Marie Mason without and leave out all the rest of the ones who are fighting for the ecology. And if you look at the list of political prisoners and you look at the writings of the Move 9, you'll see it covers all of the areas. We are here and we will keep coming here because we can't give them our humanity. Okay, I understand that the brothers in the football, which is really the Roman arena, took the knee. I understand that. But a former political prisoner who freed himself named Larry Pinckney said to me, Sister Betty, I am not getting on my knees for anyone. And that's what our political prisoners stand for. They're not sorry for standing up for us. I had this black kid in a suit tell me, well, I can't get involved with the movement. I gotta keep my job. And I said, you ain't got no job. We got you your job. Everything you got, you owe to these brothers who stood up and fought for us. Everything you got, you owe to those sisters, Fannie Lou Hamer, and the rest of those sisters who came out of the sharecropping fields and were the daughters of slaves. That's who got you your job, goddammit. And your job is liberation. And that's why you are here. And that's why I love to see you no matter how tired I am. And I know I'm tired because I'm sick at heart, because the latest shithole position is that now they're going to arm teachers. And my take on that is that we have the school to prison pipeline. They killed most of them because most of them ended up in the prisons 80%. So you know, like I know, the teachers who are going to get the guns will not be the teachers who are in Dixieland. The teachers who are going to get the guns will be to finish off what they couldn't finish off, putting them in prison. All right? And they're going to do that over my dead body. I will not give any teacher the right to destroy my child, because every last one of them is mine. In a culture like this, if your teachers need guns, then you don't have a culture. You need a revolution. And that's the only answer.
Frames, and I'm your host, Greg Lassiter, here with the creator himself, Nat Famous Woods. How you doing, Nat?
No, that's Amos is famous.
Now let's talk about
no
that
cookies.
a minute.
Okay.
Betty Davis, the activist. She is so right in a lot of ways.
Yes.
The only thing I disagree with her about is that, like, everybody think the Second Amendment right gives them the right to carry a gun. And if you read the Constitution, the Second Amendment right says you, a militia sanctioned by a local or federal government, has the right to carry a gun.
Correct.
Nowhere in the Second Amendment it says
I
individual individual
I
person.
think the point was, and I'm going out on a limb because I don't like actually explaining someone else's point.
Right, sure.
I would like everyone to draw their own conclusions as to what was said and what is meant. I don't like to actually think for people, although I do believe in giving you a whole lot of stuff to think about. But I think the point was that black people, whatever the law is, whatever they agree upon the Second Amendment meaning, that black people have as much right to defend themselves and bear arms as any other American citizen.
Absolutely, and I agree with that.
I believe that's
no,
what
I think she said that too. But for me, overall, I agree with you. I agree that we should use the law to our advantage, like other Americans do.
Correct. And I agree with you. There's a lot of things about the Second Amendment that need to be debated and agreed upon.
Right.
I do not believe in the right of the stupid to have plastic spoons. I don't trust stupid people.
Right. Agreed.
I really don't trust stupid people with anything. Not guns, not knives, not books, not anything.
Not knowledge. Hence our president.
Yes. Our president is unpredictable and dangerous.
Right.
He's what. But if you have stocks, if you're well off and you have stocks, if you have a portfolio, he might prove to be a useful idiot. As the Russians said.
But in the long run, it's going to hurt all Americans because deregulation, when it was like this, hence why we had to bail out the banks.
Correct. He's made it very, very dangerous. But the United States is going to bail out banks again. And if you understand the market, for those people in the market that don't take the time to understand the market, they are in far more risk of losing half of everything they have when a meltdown starts than those people who are sophisticated and understand when to chill out in spite of the fact that it looks like the world is closing in.
Absolutely. So I want to talk about, that was that Rex Tillerson. Got fired.
Yes.
This morning via Twitter.
Yeah, he was tweeted.
Which, you know what? In the year and a half that he was at the State Department, the year and a half that he was there, him and Trump did a lot of damage. They did a lot of damage. They did a tremendous amount of damage.
But he made things so much better and easier for ExxonMobil.
Exactly. If you guys don't know, Rex Tillerson was the CEO of ExxonMobil. So with the regulations that they deregulated, works out to his advantage. If you guys see,
especially on the oil industry and the pipelines and all of that stuff.
If you guys understand Trump's madness, all he's doing is setting himself up and his friends up for when they leave the White House.
Correct.
Whether it's on their own or via by warrant.
Correct.
But if you understand how his mind, his way of thinking is that, okay, you know what? This is not about America. This is about how I can set myself and my friends up when I exit.
And unlike the last almost meltdown, the meltdown that was averted because they opened up the keys to the bank and just gave the banks and financial institutions every single thing they needed. Unlike the last meltdown or averted meltdown, there's no gimmick that's creating this. The only gimmick that's creating this is low interest rates and no rules. No rules and no regulations. There's no housing bubble to burst.
It was a mortgage-backed securities.
Yeah, it's just like, take my money.
Yeah, it's like free fall. A free fall.
It's a free fall.
It's a free fall. But okay, let's talk about what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about, it's called the Tignon Laws.
Yes.
I'll let Nat explain what the Tignon Laws are.
First of all, you have to understand colonization.
Right.
And colonization by different European countries and different European customs. And there are different nuances depending upon which Europeans colonize your turf.
Right.
One thing about the Spanish and the French, they love warm weather.
Yep.
And the Tignon Law, there was, first of all, let me tell you what the Tignon Law is. I'm going to read what the Tignon Law is. The Tignon Law is a headdress law.
Right.
And
it's a headdress law for African American women or brown women.
Brown skin girls. Brown skin girls.
Black people. Black women.
Well, color
basically,
girls.
color girls. Okay.
Color
we
girls.
don't even use it. Okay, yeah, go ahead, continue.
Well, it kind of was. It's after they raped the black women,
right?
You know, and made all of these like delicious brown skin girls. The Spanish and the French. Let me start off. Before I get to the headdress laws, the Tignon laws, and the Tignon, Tignon.
Right.
It sounds like Tignon,
right.
But it's pronounced Tignon. At least that's the way I heard it when they pronounced it on YouTube. The Tignon laws are headdress laws.
Right.
And there were laws in the United States that were put in place in 1786 that required black women to wear headdresses. Required. This is not. This was not like, they're working in the fields and came up with this idea on their own. This was a law that required them to do this.
And it was required for them to do that because black and brown women used to do things with their hair, like put little beads in it, to make white women look bad. Well, it wasn't to make white women look bad, but white women took it as a threat.
Well, it was a threat. And now I'm going to get back to France and Spain.
Okay.
First, France. France and Spain. France and Spain had these things called, they were not concubines.
They were, I know, they were mistresses. They were mistresses.
Well, they were a little more than courtesans.
Courtesans. Right. Which comes down to a mistress.
But it's a well-known, respected mistress. It's not a hide-off in a place.
No, because it's sanctioned. Not to cut you off.
It's sanctioned.
By the woman of the house.
Correct. So the wife knows that you have this other squeeze that you treat like a lesser wife. Right. And these laws actually permitted people of social status. Social status. Everything was about social status. In France and Spain to take these
concubines.
Well, they called it Morganatic Law.
Morganatic Law.
And they euphemistically refer to them as left-handed marriages.
Okay, go ahead, continue. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Which allowed the master of the house, the aristocratic master of the house, to take another woman, usually of different ethnic groups, as sort of a second wife, but not really a second wife. She didn't inherit property. Her children.
She didn't have keys to the kingdom.
Her children didn't have the right of ascendancy. That was reserved for the wife themselves. But it allowed the master of the house to bring his squeeze into the house, and she benefited from the proximity of being his squeeze in the house.
Okay, but hold on a second. When you talk about morganatic laws, okay, I always thought that. Look at the British for a second. The modern day morganatic laws was marrying somebody or having somebody that you're royalty and they're inferior and doesn't come from royalty.
Right.
Right?
Right.
So, for instance,
right.
when Prince Charles married Diana,
right.
that was more or less a morganatic.
No.
No? You don't think so?
No.
Because
no.
if you read the
No.
definition,
No.
it was marrying one of an inferior rank.
Yes, but it's an addition to the household.
Oh, okay.
Not a spot that you give.
Okay.
Now, left-handed marriages usually involved women of different cultures, especially brown-skinned girls.
Right.
The French and the Spanish made a lot of brown-skinned girls wherever they went. That was their thing. That's why culturally, places like Louisiana and Biloxi, Mississippi, the Creoles are a lot like the cultures in the Caribbean and South America and Latin America, is because the French and the Spanish, they like warm climates, you know. They like big plantations, and they like having a young squeeze. And usually the white women brought their father's fortune with them, so they enriched the master of the house. Right. But they weren't necessarily the finest, youngest thing in the house. So he still wanted something young and fine. So they came up with these laws that allowed him legally.
That's crazy.
To take the it's good to be the king.
But see, okay,
it's good.
But think about that.
Yeah.
You know what? Again, it goes back to other cultures. Like you look at the Arab culture, where they're allowed to have 5 wives.
Right.
What right man in his right mind would want that many headaches?
Well, this wasn't 5 wives. This was just one young squeeze.
But he didn't. But the law said he could have more than one squeeze, though. If you look at it.
Yes.
So this is
and he often did. And
so that's essentially that's what it is. You know, it's not having 5. I mean, it's a wife, but it's not legally a wife. You see what I'm saying? You got the wife, and you got the main squeezes.
It's not legally the wife, but think about the choice. Think about the choice for the woman.
Right.
You could be the slave.
Right.
Or you can sleep in this big old bed.
Right.
You ain't never going to inherit nothing.
Right.
You know, and your children are never going to inherit anything. But like Sally Hemings' brother, you can be a chef. You know,
that was Jefferson
in the big house.
That was Jefferson.
Yeah, that was Jefferson.
Yeah.
Sally Hemings, and Sally Hemings. Case in point, Sally Hemings, this young brown-skinned girl, was actually his wife's sister.
Yeah, this is sister.
You know.
Go figure, right?
Well, when Jefferson married his wife, when Jefferson married his wife, he inherited all of the stuff that came from the father's estate, the wife's estate, and all of the children, all of the Hemings children were her father's children. Right. So Sally and her brothers and sisters was all Jefferson's in-laws. Right. So if you remember, and the Spanish was the same way. Yeah. If you remember the Pope Borgia. Yep. That's right. He was a Spaniard. He was a Castilian. Right. That's right. He had the woman that had all, well, he had a few women as time went by. She got a little old. He traded up again.
He kept trading up.
He kept knocking them up. I know I'm the Pope, but I ain't going out like no chump. She was a courtesan. The woman that had his children, Cesare and Lucrezia and Juan and know and Jeffrey, the 4 top dogs in his bloodline. Right. Was a courtesan. She was a kept woman. Madame Pompadour was a courtesan. Right. For lack of a better term, this is America, so we are crude, we refer to it more as left-handed marriages, but basically they're courtesans.
Along with the tenant laws, came the
Tignon Laws.
The Tignon Laws, I'm sorry.
Right, Tignon Laws.
Along with the Tignon Laws came Tignon Law.
Yeah.
Along with those laws came the sumptuary.
Right.
Was it sumptuary?
Right. Well,
laws?
it's from consumption.
Sumptuary
There was a
laws.
whole lot of laws that went around that time.
Now, the sumptuary laws was just based on, by Black's Law Dictionary, that black people, they put a cap on how much black people could spend.
Correct.
Whether it's through alcohol, drugs.
Correct. Whatever it was.
Which now, it makes sense why we as black people have no concept of money.
A lot of things that are now problematic in our day-to-day lives came from not just what we think of as broad customs and fairy tales of this Willie Lynch thing, but actual laws that regulated our behavior to keep us from getting too far up or even thinking that we were at a level, we could ever be at a level of equality with aristocracy.
But see, here's the thing too. See, this is one thing, I'm glad we brought this up, because this is why we as black people spend billions and billions of dollars, and we have that control because we have the money to do it.
Correct.
And have not accomplished what we needed to accomplish.
Correct.
Which is crazy. Because if you have to understand, that goes back to understanding our culture. It goes back to, you know what I mean? Understanding our culture if you understood your culture, then you knew, if you understand our culture, then you would know that, where we get all this crazy spending of billions of dollars.
Right. And understanding our relationship. First of all, we have to put aside this notion of thinking of ourselves as slaves.
Right. Absolutely.
I'm not talking about slavery. I'm talking about captivity.
Right.
The reason why that they created these laws was to reinforce your concept of captivity as slavery.
Right. That's exactly right.
And these things became second nature to you because they were passed on from generation to generation to generation. But it is programming. It is not natural behavior. It is programming that is reinforced through laws that were passed to get you to behave in certain ways.
Right. But Nat, here's the thing too. As passed down from generation to generation, at some point, we had to break that chain. And we did break that chain, hence the 60s and the 70s, where we were all dependent upon ourselves and patronized our own businesses, as opposed to when the late 80s and the 90s came, everybody our community just kind of went.
But we never, and this is where we were talking last week about the school system, and there being such a focus on not being able to teach black history.
Right.
Well, and it even goes to like your next president, Oprah. Putting the kibosh on underground.
Right. That's right.
There is so much historical data that would enable black people to really get rid of the bars and shackles of captivity if they only understood what was keeping them. Once you understand what it is, then you can get rid of it.
There it is. Right. If you want.
If you want, but at least it's a choice.
Right.
The things we're talking about, Tignon Laws, Tignon Laws, Sumptuary Laws, left-handed marriages.
Right.
All of these things are things that go part and parcel to every single aspect of our culture.
That's right.
And yet, ask any black person if they've ever heard of this stuff. No. They know what jumping the broom is.
Right. Why do we limit our not? Why do we limit? Why do we take a little and not all?
Every time we go to teach something, especially first of all, we demanded this in Brown v. Board, Board of Education. The concept that you could never have a school that is separate and equal.
Right.
That somehow just the act of being in proximity with white folks in a school building somehow guarantees you
education,
superior education,
right.
which is silly.
Right.
Being taught is what guarantees you a superior education. Having the access to tools and information and data, that guarantees you a superior education.
But you see how the system circumvented the board. Brown versus the Board of Education.
Correct.
But why don't we get that? We preach that. Why don't we? I don't understand. What you just said was very true about. Just because we can sit along with the white people gives us a right to superior education, which is crazy.
It is crazy.
But they take it away with not giving access.
And they don't give you a superior education. By and large, and even if you get a better education, you don't truly get a competitive education.
That's true. That's right.
There's only one place, I've said it before, there's only really one place where black folks are encouraged to compete and succeed against white competitors. That's sports.
That's unfortunate.
That's sports.
That's unfortunate.
Everywhere else, you are taught to serve. You are not taught to compete and win.
But you know what? In every aspect of sports, we as black people pretty much dominate.
That's the only place we can compete. If you're taught to beat a sucker's ass, the same way two boxers get in the ring, and you tell them knock that sucker out, you know, they even lie to the boxer. Oh, you behind, you behind. You need a knockout now. You are taught to compete and win, We are not taught that in the school system, and we will never be taught that in the school system. If anything, there is selective parts of the education system that are deliberately omitted so that we cannot confront the things that they use to keep us in, to hold us in abeyance.
That's where mom, dad, community comes in.
Correct.
That's why we need to bring it all back.
But if mom don't know and dad don't know, and they ain't gonna teach you, people like schmucks like me, we get on, and we give you information. This information is not going to go to everybody and everything, but it will go out into the ethos, and people will gather it. And just like I have this little machine and the phone that I can check on this stuff. Everything I'm talking about, everything we're talking about,
you can go and research.
Don't take my word for it. Tignon. Tignon Laws. Left-handed marriages. That's all you got. Morganatic Laws. But if you can't remember Morganatic or don't know how to spell it, you can spell left-handed. It's the same thing. Left-handed marriages. Sumptuary Laws. Regulating consumption. You can look these things up yourselves and see what the data suggests. Do not simply just go by assumption. You assume different things. Like I was like my wildcat of a mother always told me, stuff. Don't say it. Only I can say it, and only off camera. Would say to me, stuff happens, but stuff don't just happen. There are always reasons for things. I'm sorry, man. You got my nose running. That was funny, man. There are reasons for things.
Right.
The whole brown skin, dark skin thing. There are reasons.
Right. That's right. That's right.
Willie Lynch was a myth, but there
Right.
were laws put in place that resulted from different things that brought hostility among 3 separate groups of women.
That's right.
White women, brown-skinned women, and dark-skinned women. And it all revolved around the master of the house keeping his house in order and regulating that through laws. He had to keep the white woman happy because she was being replaced by the brown-skinned girl that her own father created.
Right.
That was her sister. You know.
I'm sorry, now I got a cold. Sorry.
You know, but it's true.
It's true.
It's
very
true.
true.
Now he has this young thing that he didn't inherit money from.
Right. That just solely for pleasure.
Right. And you know how, solely for pleasure.
Right.
Solely for beauty and pleasure.
Right.
You know, how do you regulate an unhappy wife?
Right.
You know, and still hold on to what you got.
Right.
You come up with these laws so that you can regulate.
Hey, but you know what?
Your kingdom.
But you know what? It's sad, but it's kind of genius.
It is genius.
It is
genius. Everything he's ever done, he has studied. If anything, I've learned from dealing with not just the culture of capitalism, but the culture of white dominance.
Right.
It's the fact that they research everything.
Right.
They do focus groups. They don't just come up with some stuff and say, "Oh, that was cool."
And that's what our problem. That's where we fall short.
That is correct.
You know, we got this thinking of instant gratification.
Correct.
We take shortcuts.
Correct.
You know, thinking that.
Correct.
You know, we need to.
We think we can stand in one spot and see the whole elephant.
Right. You can't do that.
That's impossible.
You know, I mean, yes, that's the thinking of, okay, yeah, I'm that good, but it's also a fool.
Well, white people, especially powerful white people, and when I say white people, that's specifically what I'm talking about. Less powerful white people are more enablers than anything else.
That's right. Correct.
And I will say this. White supremacy benefits all white people, just in not the same way.
Right.
Rich white people gain more power. Many white people are enablers.
Right. That's right.
But all white people benefit from white privilege.
Right.
All benefit. Most are enablers, and a few control.
Very few. Because
very few. But they couldn't control if the masses of white people didn't enable them. There could be no Trump without his knucklehead army.
Okay, but that's exactly right. Because the knucklehead army, I've watched these people, I've met these people, they think he's the best thing since sliced bread.
Well.
And I'm sitting there thinking, you dumbass people, he's going to Washington to protect the rich people. He's more about me and you than he is about you.
But that's not all he's doing. That's not all he's doing. That's a sidebar to European caste culture. Actually, he is protecting. They are depending upon him to protect the caste system itself, to protect the system of white supremacy itself, even if it costs them. They have made a conscious decision that relinquishing power and control to a select group maintains the system of white supremacy, and that is more important than eating.
But that's simple. That's asinine.
Yes, but that has always been the key to white supremacy. That's always been the key to imperialism.
No, I agree with you.
That's the key to sending ships to another country and colonizing the other country. The king is sitting in the castle eating mutton.
That's true.
That's
true.
It's the Slavs. what was the thing? Robin Hood.
Take from the rich and give to the poor?
No, every man's home is his castle.
Right.
I forget what they call that. But that was not for like white folks that would get killed if they caught him eating deer, the king's deer meat.
Right.
That was for lords. That was for feudal lords.
Right, that's right.
The Magna Carta. The Magna Carta wasn't written for all white people.
No,
it was written for feudal lords.
Right,
A select group of people who control land and property.
Right.
That's who all laws are written for. The United States of America was not for all white people. It was for property owners.
Right. That's right. But look at the mindset of white supremacy.
Yeah.
The mindset of white supremacy, even from white supremacy is racism. But these poor white people that oh yeah, let's preserve our race. How is it that you can even think that you're doing and go to church on Sunday,
right,
and hang a black man on Sunday night?
Because they're not simply protecting race; they're protecting the pecking order of race, and the pecking order of race says that black folks have no value.
Right.
The thing about value, and you know this, you understand the market.
Yeah.
The value is constituted by two absolutes.
That's right.
You have to have one end that's worth the sun, the moon, and the stars, and the other end is worth nothing.
Right.
As long as you maintain that absolute black is the pecking side that is worth absolutely nothing, you can then value everything in the middle. That's why Linnaeus. And people like Carl von Linnaeus, who invented race, because race itself is invented.
Right, absolutely.
They didn't invent black and white.
No.
They invented everything in between, and each thing in between gained in value.
Right.
So you had Homo Afro, blacks, who were the shithole people, the absolute nothing,
the bottom of the pecking order.
Then Homo Americanus, which was the Indians, then Homo Asiaticus, which was the Asians, and then Homo Europaeus, which was the whites.
People,
So it was a pecking order. This is how you establish value, and they did this with human beings. So. Part and parcel to white supremacy is the pecking order, not just I don't like blacks or I don't like whites. You know, that this group, this group is worth more than that group, and that group is worth more than the other group, and most of it is based upon skin tone.
But you know what? And that's again asinine. But we still buy into it.
It worked for the feudal lords.
But we understand. See, what I don't understand is, yes, we do this every week. We do this every day. And we give this information out to the world. Why, this is not common sense. This is common sense. I mean,
but it's working.
It's working. But I'm saying this is not rocket science, is what I meant.
It's working.
But we see this. If you understand.
Right. What is the alt-right's greatest fear?
That to integrate.
Why?
Because they want to keep everything.
Because they fear extinction.
Right. Keep it to themselves.
They don't see human beings as one homogeneous species.
Right.
They actually believe that there is this pecking order, and integration creates creatures that look like me.
Right.
If you can keep whites looking white and blacks looking blacks, and these things in the middle that happen when species integrate, miscegenate, you don't have to worry about their extinction. Black folks don't face extinction.
No, we don't.
Only white folks, trust me.
Okay, we don't face extinction from reproduction.
Correct. Correct.
But we do face extinction.
That's what I meant.
Okay,
That's what
okay,
I meant.
okay.
That's what I meant.
Okay.
That's what I meant.
All right.
That's what I meant. Violent means is our only threat of extinction.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay. Right.
Not through reproduction.
Right.
And you can take a white person and a black person
and the dominant gene
and
if, black.
Well, not only that, I guarantee you, if they have enough babies, they're gonna have babies of every single color.
Right.
They're gonna have some dark ones. They're gonna have some light ones.
That's right.
You know.
That is right.
I guarantee you that the only thing that prevents that is the fact that they stop making babies. If they keep making babies, they're gonna have the whole rainbow. White folks also have this litmus test, this one drop rule.
Right.
So it's not even what you see, it's what they think. You know.
But think back to white supremacy. Everybody wants to hide Hitler.
Yeah.
Hitler didn't care about. Hitler preserved blonde and white.
Right.
He didn't care about.
Right. Even though he's probably neither one.
Right. But KKK subscribed to Hitler's belief, but Hitler's belief didn't include them. Do you see what I'm saying?
Hitler was the least of their problems. American slavery didn't include them.
Yeah, but they didn't. But that's the how. But the KKK and the racism and the right think that all supporting Hitler because Hitler believes that he wanted to extinguish a group of people. Do you see what I'm saying? He wanted to exterminate.
He wanted to extinguish a bunch of people. They only talk about the Jews,
right?
But there were blacks that were set upon for being extinguished in Nazi Germany and that whole satellite sphere that they had going on.
Right.
But just staying within the confines of first the colonies, then the United States of America. Slavery actually never worked while it was going on for the masses of white people.
Right.
The original mulatto elite was an artisan class.
Right.
You hear about Du Bois, and he says talks about the mulatto elite.
Right.
But the elites were actually classes. Slavery got changed around with the creation of the cotton gin.
Right. That's exactly right.
Cotton created a whole different economic status. Before the cotton gin, slavery was twofold. It was indentured servitude, where you served a period of time, and then you could either buy your way out, or
continue to
clock your way out.
Right.
Slavery and with these left-handed marriages, these Morganatic laws, you also had a group of people, especially light-skinned people, who were able to get free just from the simple fact of them being miscegenated.
Right. That's right.
So when you talk about Denmark Vesey, and Denmark Vesey buying his way out of slavery because he hit a lottery ticket or something.
Right.
That's because it wasn't plantation slavery.
Right.
It was this thing called urban slavery.
That's exactly right.
And the slaves had all of the trade skills because they was the only ones working.
Right. Who knew how to do it?
Right. White folks wasn't working.
No, so they had no clue.
Slavery wasn't serving them. So urban slavery not only allowed, and most slaves during the time of Denmark Vesey was first-generation Africans.
Right.
Most of the slaves that were miscegenated were shown the door because, like Jefferson, You know, they was they sister and brother.
Right,
you know,
right.
We'll keep the women, and you know, because they I like the way they look.
Right.
You know, that's granddaddy's kids. You know, but I get these high yellow men sniffing around the house. You know, so they were showing the door, just like Jefferson's brother. He got his freedom.
Right.
He set his ass free.
Yeah.
He said, "I'll give you a job. You learn how to be a chef and stuff like that."
And get out of my house.
But then he told him get out.
Yeah.
And Jefferson, Sally Hemings' brother, didn't know what to do with himself.
Right.
He drank himself to death and then committed suicide.
That's right.
Because he lost his good gig. I can't have you hanging around
doing
here.
nothing. Right. Taking my women.
Correct. But during Denmark Vesey's time, most actual slaves were first-generation Africans.
Right, that's right.
Once they got miscegenated, they were either shown the door or the bedroom.
Right. Either or. Yep.
Either or.
Right.
Either or. So you now have nothing but Africans who are doing all the work, who are able to go off campus and get jobs and make money and keep the money that they're making.
Right.
The only indenture is on is to their master itself.
Right.
And once the master say, well, you can go out now, they were able to get jobs outside of that
plantation,
whatever it was. Some of it was farming, some of it was building, whatever it was. This did not benefit white folks.
Nope, not at all. Yep.
It's not. White folks was poor and starving. That's why there was so much animus. There was animus between white women and brown-skinned women and black women and brown-skinned women and white women. But there was also animus between white males and black males because black males were getting all the jobs and could make all the money.
Because they knew how to do things that white men didn't do.
They knew how to do everything. They were great builders.
Look where the time is gone. Hey, look, I want to say this. I want to thank everybody for watching 30 Frames a Second. We bring it to you live and uncut.
Yeah.
And before I let you have the last word.
Well, we still got some time.
Guess what I did?
Yeah.
I took a DNA test.
Oh, okay.
The ancestry. I'm waiting for it to come back to see what I'm made of, and if I'm that particular, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Fuck me at the GW Bridge.
Yeah. I don't need to take the test. My mother already told me where I came from.
What was your mom again? Guys, I want to say this. I'll let Nat have the last word, but remember this, shoot for the moon. If you miss, you're still among the stars. Nat, you can say the last word.
Yeah, we still got like 5 minutes left. Okay. This is it's 52.
Okay.
Is that, it's 52.
Right.
We still got 5 minutes left. So this ain't the last word.
You can say the last word. You got 5 minutes to talk.
Well, I'll tell you the last word in about four and a half minutes. But a lot of this stuff, like we were talking about, a lot of this stuff have laws and reasons that we behave the way we do.
Right.
When we talk about spending, laws put in place that prevented us from spending because the act of buying stuff constituted in the minds of white aristocracy a probability that you would start thinking more of yourself and start equating whatever good fortune came your way as to somehow being equal to them, and they wanted to crush that.
That's right.
So now you come to today, and when they say black folks spend, a lot of this is part and parcel to the fact that by law we were not allowed to spend, not allowed to lavish ourselves with the benefits of having stuff, even if we were able to accumulate
and that's
money.
why I say black people, brown people, we taught you something today that I know 90% of you guys didn't know.
Right.
But now that you know, you can do something about it. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
If we save one person,
right,
we've accomplished what we saved.
Right. Well, I think that far more than one person is going to
I agree.
gear into this.
Right.
And it is our hope that we don't simply teach you, because I don't believe in programming.
Right.
I believe in us inspiring people to actually look up stuff.
Yeah. Because you
figure
look up
stuff
one thing.
out. Right. Because when you get in the habit of figuring stuff out, when you get some data, some information, and you get involved in looking stuff up, you become better and better and stronger and stronger.
Well, not only that, now, when you look up one thing, it takes you to another thing.
It takes you to another thing.
Because if you look up Tignon Laws, it will take you to Sumptuary Laws.
Right.
It'll take you to something else, Morganatic. It'll take you to all those things that you can just look it up yourself and figure it all out. Why, as a culture, we do what we do.
Correct.
But then, at the same time, we need to teach our family, teach our young, so we can break that chain.
Correct.
That's what we're here for.
That's why I'd never be a good slave.
Right.
Because
I'll be a dead slave.
Well, I don't actually like see white folks as some unique challenge to whatever I'm doing.
Right.
I compete, but I compete with myself. I've always competed with myself. So I'm never at a place where I'm comfortable waving a piece of paper or saying I know how to do this, because as soon as I learn how to do something, I'm trying to learn how to do something else to either make that thing better or
you got the last word. We got 2 minutes.
Yeah, we got 2 minutes.
We got a minute and a half.
We are working diligently here at 30 Frames a Second to bring you the best. We're expanding. We're also doing a lot of stuff. If you notice the opening, that was Betty Davis. If you notice the backdrop, that was the Move 9. We videotaped the Move 9, and we've done some things on criminal justice reform, on panels that we've videotaped about solitary confinement. We're looking to have an interview with some of the people in the Angola 3 were involved in that case. So we're gonna keep coming at you with some dynamite stuff. We have a dynamite show, a dynamite group of people who watch that show, and we're gonna try very, very hard to make sure that you get something that doesn't make us ashamed of what we're doing.
That's exactly right. I want to thank everybody for watching us. We do really appreciate you guys. If you guys have any questions or want to talk about anything in particular, you guys know how to reach out to us on social media. You got Nat Wood on Facebook. You got Greg Lassiter. You guys, we all know, we all communicate. You got us on Twitter. You have us on
look for Nat
Instagram.
Wood on Facebook.
Yeah, Facebook. Look for me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram.
Peace. We're out. We'll see you next week. Thanks for tuning in.
Good show. Oh my goodness.